At the ISM readings, the ISM manufacturing reading, for example, the employment subcomponent was significantly weaker. It was down under 50, suggesting contraction in manufacturing. Manufacturing is not a big part of the economy in terms of size of jobs, but it does matter. Then you look at the ISM subcomponent equipment indicator for the ISM services reading. That was also down, still above 50. Nice, that's good. It's expanding, but still, I think it's not enough to justify a big blockbuster reading for the month.
Where are you?
We have a similar number, 144,000. That's very close.
This is like you guys are really playing Price is Right, because you always try to go just a little under. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And last time I did quite well.
Yes.
Last month. So but we see a similar story. The goods sector is not going to generate a lot of jobs. Manufacturing is weak. We know that we're seeing the spillover now from global weakness coming to the U.S. manufacturing sector, and that was confirmed by the ISM report. The service sector is a bit more resilient, but even there, the pace of job growth is moderating, and that's in line with the moderation in the overall economy.
Does that worry you or no?
If it's dramatic and we see a sharp slowdown, that would worry me, but the slowdown that we're expecting is pretty much in line with the slowdown in U.S. economic growth. So still resilient, not recessionary at this point. And as you said, we only need about 120,000 per month just to keep pace with the new entrants. So we're still above the potential employment growth.
What do you guys make of this call by Ray Dalio, or at least is he lowering his expectations in terms of
obviously
this recession?
Revising a little bit lower? I mean, I don't even think he would pretend it's a science, right? I mean, trying to set these probabilities. What I would say is, if you invested through yesterday on the premise that we have a 40% chance of going into recession, you killed it, because that's exactly how the markets were behaving, right? I mean, bond yields got really low, well below what current conditions would suggest. Everybody got very defensive, and even the currency moves were such that you would basically think this is what we're headed for. Now, I don't think it really matters if if he goes down by 15% in his estimate.
Well, that's what I mean. The limits of resolution of anyone forecasting recessions, the base level on any year is 30%.
Right.
Maybe 25 at most, right? So
most.
if you go from 30 to 40, number one, that's like the analyst that raises price target from 185 to 186 on a stock. The limits of resolution, your opinion is they're like everyone's opinions on that. I think I could care less that you go up. That's still 60% no recession, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, that's your typical baseline behavior of the economy is we don't fall into a recession.
There was an article on the dismal science of economics. It's nothing like physics, chemistry, or biology.
But, I mean, what's the broader point he's making is, I mean, that
I don't know.
That the market has,
if
that
in
the
a month
global
you go from
economy
40 to
has slowed down enough to where if you got some kind of a shock or a push or a Fed mistake, maybe you have a higher odds.
If you can change it that much in a month.
Reasons were behind. I mean,
the other thing he said, though, is that those central banks are not going to have the same power to be able to change
That's the other
something if
piece
they slide into something.
And it's kind of how the markets have been acting as well. A little skepticism about whether in
base rate. So you're at 30, 35. Now, where were you, 25?
That's why I was wondering when you mentioned 30. So we saw historically when you look at the risk of recession, you needed about any point in time historically, you'd need 15% would be a risk of recession, 1.5. So we have been climbing above that line.
Have you ever been at zero? Are people at zero ever?
It's hard to see that. Something could happen. It's hard to see that you're going to have...
So you're saying the base rate is 15?
Just historically, you go back, what would be the risk of recession historically? It would be about 15.
Although in a late cycle, you probably are
in a late cycle, it's starting to climb higher and higher. Yeah. Now, where we are, it's been a year ago, it was 12 to 15%. That was our risk. Now it's double that. So now we're looking at 30 to 35. A lot of the factors are at play. Is the trade dispute that's going in action. We're seeing some weakness in housing. We're starting to see issues in terms of one of our indicators is the senior loan bank officer survey tightening there as well.
Historically, when you go into, we've talked about this before, into a presidential election year, there's often a slowdown in capex spending because people are waiting to find out what happens next. Exactly. Does that factor into your thinking at all?
CapEx is is certainly at play there, and we are seeing a slowdown in CapEx. I don't know if it's tied to the elections.
No, not yet. I'm suggesting. I think if you chart it out over like 50 or 80 years, because a couple of analysts have done this, what you see is typically 6 months prior to an election, CapEx actually really does slow down.
I mean, I wouldn't argue with that, but I think CapEx has been, it's really, if you looked at it over the past several years, it's kind of just been steady.
That's capital expenditures for everybody else.
Yes.
Well, I would just say that the only time we saw a real big, somewhat of an increase was the stimulus, right, in 2018, but it went to 7%. Some people thought it would be double digits, so we never even went that high. I mean, I just think businesses are still very cautious, regardless of the election. But just to add, our view on the election, on the recession risks, we're about 40% for 2020. And we just revised our estimates of the drag of the tariffs. We have the new rounds coming in place September 1st and October. That's going to add another drag of about 0.2 on 2020. So altogether, we see the tariff and the uncertainty dragging growth down by about 0.6 of a percentage point. Otherwise, would be stronger. So we're looking at about 1.6% for 2020. That's actually even a little more conservative than what the Fed just published yesterday. They said that that the tariffs and particularly the uncertainty related to trade policy has been a drag of 0.8 of a percentage point off of growth. So the uncertainty, and that ties into CapEx, I think it's paralyzing businesses right now, the uncertainty of what to do.
We're going to leave this part of the conversation there, though we will be talking a lot more about jobs this morning. Kathy, Beth Ann, and Mike. Thanks, guys.
When we return, some big news out of Hong Kong overnight. The city now facing a ratings downgrade as protesters plan the 14th straight weekend of demonstrations. We will take you there live. Right now, though, as we head to a break, let's take a look at the biggest pre-market winners and losers in the Dow. Cisco, Caterpillar, Intel leading the way.
Nobody can drag me down. I got a fire for a heart. I'm not scared of the dark. You've never seen it look so easy.
This CNBC program is sponsored by SunTrust Corporate and Commercial Banking. Confidence inspired by one team.
Oh, wow. You two are going to have such a great trip.
Yeah, have fun.
Thanks to you, we will. Aw, stop.
This is why Voya helps reach today's goals.
All while helping you to and through retirement.
You guys are just going for a week, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Can you help with these?
Oh, we're more of the plan, invest, and protect kind of help.
Sorry, little pause.
Right.
So, but have fun.
Send a postcard. Voya, helping you to
and through
retirement.
When home projects get away from you, use the Home Advisor app to instantly book an appointment with a top-rated pro. Be prepared for whatever home projects come your way. Download the free Home Advisor app today.
Johnson & Johnson is a baby company, but we're also a cancer-fighting, HIV-controlling, joint-replacing, and depression-relieving company. From the day you're born, we never stop taking care of you.
Well, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet today. By 2040, that number will be over 9 billion. There are hundreds of millions of people moving into the middle class every decade. Global energy demand will grow by 30% over the next 20 years. Around the world, plants are switching from coal to natural gas. Simply put, there's no way to attack the greenhouse gas problem without a prominent role for natural gas. Energy supports every aspect of life. This is the future of business. I watch CNBC.
Okay, I picked out my dream car. Now's the really fun part. Choosing the color, the wheels, the interior, everything exactly how I want it. Here's the thing, just because I configured this car online doesn't mean it really exists in a dealership. But with TrueCar, I get real pricing on actual cars in my area. I see what others paid for them, and they show me the ones that match the car I want. So I know I can go to a TrueCar certified dealer, and it'll be right there waiting for me. Today, right now. This is TrueCar.
These folks, they don't have time to go to the post office. They have businesses to grow, customers to care for, lives to get home to. They use Stamps.com. Print discounted postage for any letter, any package, anytime, right from your computer. All the amazing services of the post office, only cheaper. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com/try and never go to the post office again.
Some news out of Hong Kong overnight. Fitch cutting the city's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating this morning from AA+ to AA with a negative outlook. They cite ongoing turmoil from the demonstrations. From the note, Fitch says Months of persistent conflict and violence are testing the perimeters and pliability of the one country, two systems framework that governs Hong Kong's relationship with the mainland. Fitch also noted that officials in mainland China are taking a more public stance on Hong Kong affairs than at any time since the 1997 handover. This comes ahead of what is likely to be the 14th straight weekend of protests in the city. In the meantime, those protesters are planning to demonstrate once again this weekend. Let's get over to Chris Livesay. He is in Hong Kong, and he's got more on this story. Chris, good morning, or good evening.
Good morning, Becky. That's right. Protests continue in Hong Kong. This still after 2 days ago, Carrie Lam, the embattled executive leader of Hong Kong, announced that she is withdrawing that extremely controversial extradition bill that sparked these protests more than 3 months ago. So you might be asking yourself, well, shouldn't that be the end of it? Well, think again. Protesters are back on the streets telling this government, we have more demands, including, we have lost faith in you, Carrie Lam. We want you to step down. They've also lost faith in this local police force. They've accused them of police brutality throughout this entire movement. They also want the police to let their fellow protesters go, to let them go. More than 1,000 of them have been arrested, and they want an amnesty for anybody who's been charged throughout this movement. Now, a big test of what might come next is this weekend. Take a look at the airport. Tomorrow, there's a protest plan there. It's been a major battleground throughout this movement where protests have managed to ground traffic, both flight traffic and ground traffic. So cars to and from the airport haven't been able to get there to drop off passengers. A lot of flights canceled and a lot of people missing their flights. So if you've got to go through the airport in Hong Kong tomorrow, expect delays. Becky?
Chris, thank you very much. Chris Livesay. Right now, let's get over to the other big geopolitical hotspot on our radar. That is Brexit and political uncertainty in the UK. Willem Mark joins us with more on that front. Willem.
Becky, what markets, what investors, what voters here in the UK are watching are the likelihood of a general election and the possibility that still exists of a no-deal Brexit at the end of October. It's been a very difficult week for the relatively new Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He lost his governing majority in Parliament. He lost a member of his party to one of his opponents. He fired 21 rebels. He lost 4 votes in 48 hours. And he lost his brother, who resigned yesterday, saying he could no longer reconcile family commitments and the national interest. He's a minister, an MP, who is now leaving frontline politics. He says, over the course of this weekend, we're going to hear opponents of Boris Johnson discussing the timing for a possible election. He wants to try and push through with a Brexit deal if he can by the middle of October. If he can't get a fresh deal from the European Union, he wants to take the UK out of Europe at the end of October. Regardless, a lot of people saying that will be economically damaging, legally very chaotic. And of course, what the opponent wants to do is to see that ruled out, which could happen as soon as Monday. And as soon as Monday, therefore, we might get a better sense as to when we'll see a fresh election. That, of course, will be very divisive and very heavily focused on Brexit.
Willem, this week probably not helping Boris Johnson's hand in terms of the negotiations that he's trying to do with the EU right now. My guess would be they'll just sit back and wait.
Absolutely right. You know, he said again and again over the last few days that by no longer having the option of a no-deal Brexit, he can't hold their feet to the fire to try and wrest concessions. His opponents here say that's nonsense. You were not even engaged in serious negotiations over the last 5 or 6 weeks since you took office, and that's very much the line we're hearing from the European Commission, the counterparties in those talks. They've said they've heard nothing new from the new British administration that would change their mind over the agreement that was negotiated almost a year ago under Johnson's predecessor, Theresa May.
Willem, thank you. Willem Marks.
And coming up, sports betting meets sports bars. Well, that sounds awesome. We're going to
drink and gamble.
Yeah, maybe not so great for how you do. We're going to tell you about a new partnership between MGM and Buffalo Wild Wings. That sounds interesting.
This CNBC program is sponsored by Payden & Regal, offering global investment solutions.
This is the age of expression. Everyone has something to say. But in a world full of talking, Shouldn't somebody be listening?
So, let's talk.
We are Edward Jones. With one financial advisor per office, we're built for hearing what's important to you. One-to-one. Edward Jones. It's time for investing to feel individual.
This is the family who wanted to connect and find inspiration in new places, leading them to discover we're woven together by the moments we share. Everything you need, all in one place. Expedia.
Can I get some help?
Whatever they went through together.
Welcome, guys.
Life well planned. See what a Raymond James financial advisor can do for you.
Why did you invest in gold? Are you living in the past? In a digital world, gold shouldn't weigh down your portfolio. You see where things are going. Digital currencies like Bitcoin are the future. They're secure, borderless, and unlike gold, they actually have utility. Leave the pack behind. It's time to drop gold. Go digital. Go grayscale.
It was Sophie's big day. By the way, she's the next Mozart. As usual, we were behind schedule. But Sophie's enthusiasm could not be dampened. Not even by a runaway donut. We powered through it in our Toyota Prius. Because the star's gotta shine. No matter what.
It's unbelievable what you can do in the Prius. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a principal, I can tell you this. When one student gets left behind, we all get left behind. This is a problem that affects each and every one of us. Together with IBM, we've created a whole new kind of school called PTAC. Within 6 years, students can graduate with a high school diploma, college degree, and a pathway to a competitive job.
You know what's going up today?
Today, there are more than 100,000 PTAC students around the world. It's a game changer.
We've got some breaking news for you right now. Howard Schultz officially now not running for president, just sending out a letter to friends and supporters. He says, quote, "My belief in the need to reform our two-party system has not wavered, but I have concluded that an independent campaign for the White House is not how I can best serve our country at this time." He goes on to talk about the divided nature of the country and a lot of the decision process and thinking that's gone into not pursuing this.
Hammered by the Dems.
Got hammered very early on, in large part, as he talked about, because of the view that there was going to be a re-election of President Trump.
If there was
says he plans to spend the money that he was going to spend on a campaign on investing in trying to bring people together and doing other things like that. So we'll see what that means, how that money's going to be used in the course of politics.
He's not going to spend it on sports gambling.
Why would you spend it on sports
Because
gambling?
it's very, very fun and interesting. In our next guest restaurant, we're going to talk about, this New Jersey thing, Adam, opened up an unbelievable, it's going to do more than Vegas, right? Jersey? It's doing more than Let me introduce it. Restaurant chain Buffalo Wild Wings and MGM Resorts announcing a multi-year deal to bring sports betting into restaurants. Joining us now, the CEO of Roar Digital, the MGM-owned venture involved in the deal, Adam Greenblatt. And Adam, I don't like going to Vegas and doing blackjack and stuff, but I love watching like college football. And if I had $10 on a game, and basketball, when we do the Final Four and we do just a pool where there's not even money involved, but I have to see every game out of 6 out of 32 games or whatever. So I feel that this is going to get bigger and bigger.
You're not unique. It is already big, and that's the wonderful opportunity, and that's why we're excited about the market opportunity and this relationship with Buffalo Wild Wings.
So first, talk about, you're the CEO of Roar, which is a joint venture between MGM and GVC, correct? So you've got all kinds of smart, different ways to try to to take advantage of the new environment that we're in. Could you explain that a little? And then we'll go into the Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's exactly. So the original intention of the coming together of a leader, one of the leaders worldwide in sports betting and iGaming, which is GVC, and of course MGM Resorts, which is a premier entertainment company, a leading entertainment company in the US, branded, access to tens of millions of gamblers, and of course the exceptional properties. We think the combination of those two things is a winning combination to tackle the market opportunity.
And Buffalo Wild Wings, I guess, you could almost sort of see this coming because you watch any of their advertising it's a place where there's great wings and there's really hot ones, there's sweet ones. I've been there and I like it a lot. But it's a lot about the entertainment and the TVs and the sports that are on.
It is, and they have some new product, by the way, which are delicious. Look, for us, it's an opportunity to bring our product to many tens of millions of highly engaged.
So what would it actually look like at Buffalo Wild Wings? What would I do? I'd go in and
you'd go in and have what is already a very entertaining evening with your friends, but you will also have access to exclusive offers, special bets, prizes that are brought by Raw and BetMGM in venue. So what we are doing is we're enhancing that in-venue experience by increasing the emotional amplitude with a thing that you love already, and creating more talking points to have a good experience with your buddies.
So you must need a pretty good digital guy to put. There's going to be monitors there to do things online.
So we're in a world of second screen, right? So what we are doing is creating a primary screen and second screen experience that actually our second screen enhances what you're doing in your first screen, as opposed to being a distraction.
Second screen being like one on the table that I can touch after I eat my Buffalo Wild Wings?
Well, the one that you don't
While
leave.
you're eating and before you're eating. I may need to go.
I have a semi-uncouth question here. It's a semi-uncouth question. At casinos, historically, if you're betting on gaming, if you get trashed, effectively, if you're totally drunk at a casino, they actually do cut you off. There are people who understand the dynamic, not just that they don't want you to drive, but they don't even want you to gamble. How does this work in a much sort of larger context? Because this will be happening at bars all over the country.
The waitress's job? Is it
So we have very advanced. So bear in mind, engaging with our product in venue, you'll have to have gone through your registration process and set up a payment method. You have to have an account, so we know who you are.
Right.
And we also have very sophisticated digital responsible gaming tools. So you can also set timeouts for yourself. You can set bet limits for yourself. So there are.
But you can't identify if there's somebody. I mean, if you see somebody who seems to be making wild bets, do you take the bet? Do you have algorithms that are going to stop people from doing this? Forgetting about, I like that you have tools to stop people, but that requires them in advance of drinking or whatever they're going to do to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Self-regulatory, right? Do you have other things that you would?
We are interested in all of our customers having a positive and responsible betting experience.
And to that end, you do what?
And to that end, we invest in responsible gaming tools. There is responsible gaming messages and things that we in our communication.
But I think Andrew's asking, do you cut somebody off if you see crazy bets going through?
How do we know if it's a crazy bet? Ultimately, I mean, this is the same as anywhere. Ultimately, unless an individual is behaving in a way which calls attention to themselves in a physical environment, we are responsible adults, and we have to conduct ourselves in a responsible way. And we are very interested in seeing that play out as well.
I mean, there is a tendency in society right now, I think, Andrew, for more freedom, for what kind of some of these vices, and there's going to be some personal responsibility that's going to be necessary. Out in Colorado, there's going to be some personal responsibility that's necessary. The gambling cat is out of the bag, don't you think?
I think it is out of the bag. But this is
a couple of monitors.
By the way,
at
people
Buffalo
are going to be
Wild
able
Wings.
Forget about being
That's not going to be the
Buffalo
problem.
Wild Wings. They'll be people will be gambling at home. They'll be we're gambling wherever. So sure.
The James Caan movie, The Gambler, should be mandatory viewing. That's the Michael Mann film. That's the Michael Mann that I actually think is somewhat good at what he does. But anyway,
thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Fascinating.
I would like to announce that today that we are launching a new product in New Jersey and launching officially our BetMGM brand, which will be our hero brand throughout the U.S. So watch out, big marketing campaign coming.
Okay.
Good to get that in. Thank you.
Coming up when we return, a lot more on Squawk. We're going to talk about one of the year's most controversial IPOs. Yep, it is WeWork. And there is Adam Newman. We're going to talk about it right after the break. And later, much more on the big beat for Lululemon and Joe's Pants. That stock up about 7%.
Down, boy.
Returns right after this.
That was wonderful. Bravo. I loved that. Oh, it was great. Well, it was pretty good. Well, it wasn't bad. Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though. It could have been a lot better. I didn't really like it. It was pretty terrible. It was bad. It was awful. I was terrible. Get him away. Hey, boo!
Executive Edge is sponsored by AT&T Business with edge-to-edge intelligence covering virtually every part of your growing business. Learn more at att.com/edge-to-edge.
Through the AT&T network, edge-to-edge intelligence gives you the power to see every corner of your growing business. From using feedback to innovate, to introducing products faster, to managing website inventory and network bandwidth, giving you a nice big edge over your competition. That's the power of edge-to-edge intelligence.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
The S&P 500, the benchmark for most U.S. equity investors. Only Sector Spider ETFs can divide the S&P 500 into 11 investable pieces. This allows you to underweight and also overweight sectors to best meet your clients' objectives. Sector Spiders, write your next chapter in investing. Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Go to sectorspiders.com for a prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully.
Do you wake up with lower back and hip pain? Your knees rub bone on bone. Ordinary pillows go flat, and leg pillows are bulky. Introducing the Contour Legacy Pillow, the ergonomic tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your body to help align your spine and alleviate pain.
Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to a much more restful sleep.
Legacy's crescent design easily moves with you. Made from memory foam, it never loses its shape, and it's exclusively ventilated. Use two together for full leg alignment. Now the Contour Legacy Pillow is just $19.99. But wait, you can also get the world-famous Contour Head Pillow. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's head-to-toe comfort, a $50 value for just $19.99. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-577-8113 or go to getlegacypillow.com. That's 1-800-577-8113.
Welcome back. You're watching Squawk Box, live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square.
Good morning. Welcome back to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. Take a look at U.S. equity futures at this hour on this Jobs Friday. Dow looks like it would open up about 35 points higher right about now, but of course we're still 3 hours away from the market open and about 2 hours or 2.5 hours away now from the news that we will, 3 hours ago. More than from when we're going to get the big jobs numbers. So all of this may move around. Meantime, what we do want to talk about this morning, WeWork taking down its own valuation ahead of its highly anticipated IPO. The company now reportedly expected to be valued at only $20 billion. That's less than half of the $47 billion figure that it reached during its latest funding round with SoftBank.
In between there somewhere, I guess.
The fall coming as investors are increasingly worried about the company's cash burn and ability to turn a profit anytime soon. And this comes as WeWork CEO Adam Newman reportedly poked fun at other money-losing ventures, including Lyft and Uber. In a private meeting with analysts this week, Newman criticized the ride-hailing companies for spending aggressively to fuel growth. Now, WeWork is expected to begin its IPO roadshow as soon as next week, but there had been anticipation that the IPO might even happen next week. Now, clearly that is not
I wonder
the case. There's a question of whether this happens at all.
Right.
I remember we were talking about this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago with Dan Primack, and I said, will this IPO even happen at all? And there are reports that Adam Newman went to Tokyo to visit with Masa-san to suggest, why don't you just give us some more cash and we can delay this IPO for much
or
longer.
ask them to buy a massive chunk of the IPO that came out.
I mean, the biggest problem for Masa-san and SoftBank is that because of the way they wrote this up, on the valuation, they wrote it up twice, meaning and the reason that they even got that valuation was because of the earlier valuation. So it's all funny money.
Well, it's not. None of this is good, and
none of it's good.
Well, no, but we all see stock. You look at any stock, and you look at the high and low for the 52 weeks, and a lot of times it's half or whatever, and stocks move around. But when you're bringing out an IPO, really, if you're off by a factor of 2 that doesn't instill. We thought it was 40, now it's 20. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in people that want to go into the IPO that the next one that's coming out. We think it's somewhere between 20 and 40, but we're doing 40. Have some. I mean, it just doesn't. It's not a great
And
thing.
when you say no, thank you, okay, have some for 20.
Yeah, right. But it just, I think it tarnishes the
whole space, but then I think makes it harder for Uber, Lyft, and all the others that even are public now.
And he was giving some grief to Uber and Lyft about their money burning, but at the same time, he was saying he understands Elon Musk much more after dealing with the SEC.
Right. And you know who to blame for all this?
Who?
Newman. You didn't see that coming from a mile?
I didn't see it
That's
coming.
who we're blaming. Newman. All right, let's go.
All right, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
When we come back, trade and tech. We're going to take a look at how big technology stocks have been holding up against a slew of recent trade headlines right after this.
Delivering Alpha, the most important investor summit 9 years running. Strategy from leading alpha generators. Direct access to policymakers and government leaders. On September 19th, see who's calling the shots now. Go to deliveringalpha.com to attend this year's blockbuster event.
You will come away with ideas that you can put to work immediately.
Plus, special guest Vice President Mike Pence talks economy and trade war impact. Reserve your spot now at deliveringalpha.com.
I can find and fund my car, from a Mini to a Jaguar.
Feel good car buying from findandfundmycar.com is the place where you can find quality used cars from trusted dealers rated by you, and where you can fund your car with finance to fit your budget. It's feel good car buying, all in one place.
Shouldn't be a carry on, choose findandfundmycar.com.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try click and collect. Just go to tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try click and collect at tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And then they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel, and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
Did someone say winter sun? It's that time again. And this year at Jet2 Holidays, we're saying Cyprus. On this incredible island, you get it all. A choice of 4- and 5-star hotels, amazing ancient ruins for culture-packed days out, hiking and cycling trails for active adventures, and plenty of blue flag beaches for soaking up that winter sun. Book Cyprus now with just a £60 deposit. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. APRA net or protected, subject to availability and conditions.
Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strings and things. Strings and things and strings, strings, strings and things. Strings, strings, strings and things. Strings, strings, strings and things. Strings and
range of strings and things called strings and things, including cheese strings, yollies, and new cheese shapes. Find them all in the cheese and yogurt aisle.
Strings and things.
From the moment I saw you, the last of the litter, I knew you were the one, and would soon hear the pitter-patter of tiny paws on our kitchen floor, and tiny scratches on the bedroom door. You might sometimes be mischievous, sometimes be shy, but I know I found love in those kitten cat eyes.
Join the free VIP Kitten Club from Pets at Home for advice and exclusive offers, including 10% off your first shop in store. Visit petsathome.com/kitten club or join in store. T's and C's apply.
China's central bank is cutting banks' reserve ratios for the third time this year, and the seventh time since early last year. The move will free up more than $126 billion for loans in an attempt to shore up China's slowing economy. So